So, hi, John. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of A Studio of One's Own. This is actually a weekly online dialogue session that seeks to reach out to artists internationally and catch up with them on their changing creative routines, especially in this time of global pandemic and crisis. And John Clang is actually a Singaporean visual artist, and he works and lives between New York City and Singapore, and he's currently residing in New York. Am I right?
Yes, I'll say that my studio is based in New York.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay, cool. And so his works actually straddles dual realities of global cities, unfettered by confines of time and geography. So I guess the first thing I want to ask is, how are you doing, and are there any interesting updates based on any realizations that you've realized because of this pandemic and being in quarantine?
Well, because of the quarantine itself, there's little things we can do outside the home apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens that my most of my work are actually created on my desk in my home studio.
Oh, okay.
The thinking process, the reach out to my subjects over the online internet. Yeah. So it actually makes me work longer hours just because I couldn't get out. Yeah. But other than that, it doesn't really affect me because I tend to do my work indoor. So other than my time that I used to spend outside playing ping pong, that's my, Duchamp play chess, I play ping pong. So yeah, a little bit different. Other than that, work-wise is exactly the same. Yeah,
Okay.
Because I normally don't carry camera around. I don't go out do shootings, and a lot of my work require a lot of preparation. So this quarantine time, to me and my team is more of like preparing. Yeah,
Right.
I have one project that is that's ongoing, but it's been interrupted. But then at the same time, this kind of lockdown, this quarantine period, it allows me to actually create a new project.
Oh, wow.
Because it seems like all my subjects are quarantined as well.
Yes.
So I can actually reach out to them and create some small projects for them to do something for me. That could be really interesting.
That's true. Actually, like you mentioned that things have been interrupted, and that's like I've seen this whole pandemic as kind of like a worldwide interruption on such a big scale, because we have calendars that have suddenly become in states of limbo. And I know you also had like a film to be showed at SIFA, and that was cancelled because of the COVID. But it's also I guess it's interesting that now we see like a focus shift from that final product to the really like the process, like what you said, just researching and refining. So how do you think your creative processes have changed? I mean, since you mentioned that it's similar.
Well, I think there's different kind of mindset, because if you consider yourself as an artist as a career form, so in that sense, you're particularly, you really have to be like, say for example, if I create a film, I want it to be in the festival, it has to be shown. And then if I create an artwork for the gallery, I want my work to be exhibited. And all this quarantine and the idea of having less people to be in the gallery or in the cinema will affect us, obviously. Yeah. And everything tend to go online. But that only have impact if I consider that is the end goal of what I try to create. But if I try to think otherwise, if my work is meant to be to last for a longer time, to shape the culture, to do something that's beyond a gallery wall, beyond a cinema screen, as for the future historian, then in that case, I find that it's a small interruption, which will actually force us to create new way of working. So with that in mind, so I think it's a quite welcoming challenge in a way.
Yeah, that's actually such an interesting perspective on things, because it's true. Like I guess this really forces us to reinterpret art as commodity also, because it's no longer something that you just sell to the public, but something that goes way beyond that. That's cool. I guess like we have a question that I wanted to ask because your work seems to be very grounded in like the idea of global cities, and you're currently living in New York. So how is this external impact of like the crisis that's going on there? I know that it seems quite chaotic from the media. I don't know how it is really like living there, and whether or not these actually affects your daily routine.
Well, what is going out there? I mean, I can hear helicopters
Oh wow!
from my apartment. Yeah.
Wow, that must be something.
Yeah, I have. In New York, we have this thing called the Citizen app. I think it's called that.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens if somebody there's a looting near you, or there's a robbery, there's a murder, there's a theft, it shows up on your app on your phone.
Wow. Okay.
So you know what's going on. So for the last 2 weeks, my phone has been like ringing nonstop.
Is it a 24/7 update system?
24 is immediate actually.
Wow.
So
okay.
It could be like 5 minutes ago, or right now, currently, like 100 meters away from me, someone was robbed. Yeah, was mugged, or the shop was looted, and then you send a message to me, and I'll know. Oh. Well, it kind of make you try to walk away and things like that, Yeah, but but it gave me a sense of what's going on around me. Yeah, and well, if I had to put it in a way, as an artist, a troubled time like this can be a source of inspiration, a source of material to work on.
Yeah.
Not to physically record or document what's going on, because that you have news, you have Google search, you have everything, but to actually reflect, to see the human reaction, the mentality between different culture, between different people, where they stand for, and what this event means to them. I think these are very useful for artists. For myself, I think it's really, really wonderful, because then I start to observe the reaction of different people.
Wow.
From both sides, be it people from New York, people from outside New York, people from Europe, or people from Singapore. What do they understand? And right now, everybody is about Cuomo, so like even in Singapore, So it created a kind of trying to understand what about him that a Singaporean like.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and what about him that somebody do not like? And all these simple answers that you tend to be able to ask your friend or people around you will give you a very interesting and useful information.
Actually, I realize now that the role of the artist is so important in helping make sense of crisis. Especially in times like this, like in crisis, it's very easy to forget, and I always say that the human race has a very short memory. I was wondering if you were. I mean, I'm sure you know about the Straits Times infographic.
Yes.
And I wonder what you think about it. Actually, like, do you have any?
Because it was
thoughts?
Eileen who first shown that to me, because she's really into Instagram, Facebook. She knows all the frontier of all the news. I'm not into all the social media stuff. But I read the article, and then an artist is supposed to be
the most non-essential.
No, telemarketing is actually better than us.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, I agree with the article. I agree with that poll. If you consider artists, the artwork, to be a decorative art. But I think what this article is about, we shouldn't get too upset about it, but we try to understand the thinking of the poll. What it really means is that there's a big gap of misunderstanding of the mass public towards what does an artist do.
Yeah.
So in their mind, artists create artwork, beautiful artwork, in a museum where it's immersive, so they can walk around and take selfie. Or you create work on the wall of the gallery so they can buy and hang on your living room. Yes. So it's the kind of simple understanding, the kind of wrong concept of understanding. But it could be also because it is how we promote arts in Singapore that actually create a kind of misunderstanding. So it comes from both sides. And the true artist, in regardless of where it comes from which time, our duty is generally to shape the culture and also create something for future historian.
Yes.
So, the idea is to actually to make an imprint, a marking of what's going on now, so that people in the future, say 50 years, 100 years, other than words that they see from historian, other than books or photograph they see from Google, if Google still exists at that time, they can see artwork made at this time from the different artists, from different region, from different country, different gender, different race, and try to understand where the mental mind is thinking.
Yeah.
I think that is actually, I think it's very similar to author or a poet. You try to grab the essence of it and then try to understand the culture, the thing that's living in that time, this particular time. And then from there we evolve. I think that is really, really important, but it's kind of, nobody educate the mass audience. We have, obviously we have, in museum, we have people who, I forgot how you call those people, who actually introduce like a walkthrough,
like
to
guides,
show, the guides. So we will show them about the art, talk about the art in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and now. But we did not tell them, what does this art do?
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a lot of social responsibility as an artist, really, to like help translate these stories, right, to future generations.
Correct. But also at the same time, we also must make sure that does the artist know about that?
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
For example, I enrolled myself in LaSalle, purposely just to actually understand what the education in arts in Singapore is about. I think likewise in any other countries, there's a lot of emphasis on the work itself.
Yeah.
But I think very little emphasis has been what an artist can contribute in the society, in shaping the idea of what people is thinking or what people is doing. I think there's very few of those. And it's not the fault of the audience or the artist, but it was just not being emphasized. So a lot of time, you tend to see work that appear to be useful in that form accidentally, rather than purposely trying to create work that actually means something to the society.
Right, definitely.
But only through difficult time, maybe the earlier part of Singapore, in the 60s, 70s, when the artists are actually struggling, like really troubled, then they try to create work that actually to show their misery or show their anger. So through that kind of work, we try to see, what happened during those times. But right now we are too busy writing grants.
I know, it is very sad.
It's sad, but at the same time, it's a rarity as well, because it's difficult to live as an artist anyway.
Especially now in the financial economic crisis, like it always is the art suffers first. But I guess it's definitely true that I don't think the purpose of art has been communicated good enough to even the artists themselves. But you speak about your time in LaSalle. Could you tell us a little bit more about like what you've learned there? Do you think do you think that it's a good place where you are aware a bit more about what art can mean to society?
Well, to me, it's very useful because I could have studied my educations in my doing my postgrad stuff in US, which is much easier. But I chose LaSalle because the idea of actually being there itself is that I get to know a lot of local artists that is based there. So that gap between me and them, even though I'm based in New York, was never there, because they are familiar with my work and I'm familiar with their work. And
that's really nice.
To be actually supervised by Adeline Quay or Yen Wu himself, I think that is really, really interesting, because I'll get to understand what the education in Singapore in arts is doing, and what kind of conversation and topics that we can actually discuss, and how influenced are we by work from the Western world, and how influenced compare ourselves to Southeast Asia, to Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines. Do we still have our own identity? That is the quest of trying to understand this. Make me want to join that school. I think it's useful. but I will not say that the result is exactly satisfactory in that aspect. I mean, the education wise, I think in Singapore we still have a lot to improve upon. Yeah, but then like anywhere else, education is a part of new form of politics. It's no different from any government. So all the teaching material and all this thing and the requirement, are no difference from anywhere that kind of oppress people from excelling and doing what they should. Yeah. But the experience is good. Yeah.
Oh, that's really great. So actually, how does that compare to your education in the States?
Well, in the States, I didn't go to any of the art schools because I came here as an artist, and this is my studio space. Right. Yeah, but I go to like Parson to conduct classes and also to do portfolio review and things like that. Yeah. So I think that the difference is that the artists here in New York tend to be from different regions, from Europe, from other part of US. So the main idea, the main focus is to go into a craft and try to excel from there and try to get into the art circle.
Okay.
Yeah. Very so different. Now after the show, so you get into the gallery itself. But there's not much of a gallery scene in Singapore. There's not a huge. Yeah. So with that in mind, there's the artists who, the purpose of trying to be an artist in Singapore, it becomes really interesting. Yeah, because you see very little the end of the tunnel there. When you become an artist, if you're not from a very how should I say, if you do not come from a family that actually support your education and your livelihood, you're choosing you're choosing a craft, you're choosing an industry that's actually going to be really extremely difficult unless you have unless you have a very good reason that you want to do it. So with that in mind, so it's quite interesting because then artists I find in Singapore, where I studied together with them, I feel that they have an urge to create, the urge to be something. Not sure what yet, but the urge to contribute something, the urge to be a very serious artist.
Right.
Yeah. As compared to students that I met here, is to have the urge to create good work.
Right.
I think there's a difference between the urge to create a good work that is successful in the gallery space than to create a monumental work that is that's important to the artist or to the region itself. I think it's more personal, I find.
Yeah.
I think in Southeast Asia, I think artists work tend to be more auteur theory. Yeah. So everything is very personal. It comes from the politics, it comes from the environment, it comes from the dissatisfaction, it comes from the urge to change or the lack of power to change.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that become a really interesting work. Rather than the craft. Yeah, the craft of making something really beautiful. Yeah, the craft is important because it helps you to deliver your idea.
Yes.
But I mean, that's one thing I find that's very lacking in what I've experienced in Singapore. There's really lack of craft. There's a lot of good ideas there because, but then when you come to execution wise, it just fall apart. But in US, the students tend to be focusing a lot on crafting. So their craft is really good. But when you question about the idea, it looks repeat from artists, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah, somebody that inspired them. And a new generation of a cycle.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
But the society endorse it, so they're fine. Yeah.
That's true. Actually, like now that the way you said it's very nice to see that contrast in priority. And I guess in Singapore also there isn't that much space to be an artist. Like when you're an artist, you're really fighting against all odds, like financial wise, and I guess society wise, like there is this stigma I've seen from the infographic that art is really completely separate from the daily. But it's I guess you can say that Singapore artists have developed this sense of resilience because their practice is so dependent on like their immediate surroundings rather than the future, I guess.
Yeah, but I find that this, okay, I'll name two examples that is actually I consider it's one artist that you do not want to be him, and yet you want to be him.
Yes.
You know, yeah. Okay, Andre Tarkovsky.
Oh,
Russian,
that's
filmmaker.
so funny. We just had a different like interview like a few weeks ago, and he mentioned the same director. He was
He's really, really
talking about,
important.
yeah.
But I'll urge people to actually read his diary. Yeah, if you are familiar with his work, and if you read his diary, you do not want to be him. And then maybe after reading his diary, you feel a lot better of how ourselves being an artist in this current world, in this current city. I think we are of a much better condition. Yeah.
Yes.
But and yet those difficult conditions do not actually stop him from making great work. Yeah. I think that's really important. And then of course, currently there's another artist which I think is really interesting as well. His name is called Wang Ping. He's from China. He's based in France now. He specialized in documentary, but more in the art form of documentary, like slow cinema.
Wow.
Yeah, it's more like a visual work, but prolonged. So it's like photograph that's projected on the cinema. Yeah. And I mean, he has no resource in terms of financial and things like that. Everything is he just simply don't pay anybody.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone who works for him, he just had to convince everyone to work with him.
Yeah.
And to complete the project itself. And I mean, he was trained in art, and he's supposed to come out to be a DP, a cinematographer. Yeah, but because nobody hired him.
Oh no! Yeah.
Yeah, and then so he decided to be his own director.
Okay.
Yeah. So right from the beginning, he's already into art. He's the opposite of, say, for example, like Tsai Ming-liang, who's actually a filmmaker and then becoming an artist. One thing is already start from there. So there's a difference. So you can actually try to follow different path, work from different people, and you see how they actually push themselves.
Yeah.
To new boundaries, and then but of course we have artists who is highly successful and commit suicide because of the pressure, like Mike Kelly, from Los Angeles. I mean, he's really famous. And then of course we have very important woman artists like Chantal Ackerman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you let's do this. Okay, Chantal Ackerman. I mean, people in the art world now, we all know her work. We all know about how important she is, how successful she is. Yeah. But if you ever look at, say for example, she has one film. Her last film is called the No Home Movie, I think. It's about her and her mom. Yeah, it was premiered in Locarno.
Wow.
Yeah, and then but the main idea was quite interesting. Is that I mentioned this one is only because it was shortly before suicide.
Yeah.
We have thousands of sitters, and by the end of the show, or even in the halfway of the show, I think the seats only left for me less than 2/3 or 1/3.
Wow.
I mean, less than 1/3. Yeah. So there's a lot, like a big floor of walkout.
Wow.
And then
How
come? The interesting how come is that because we are all brainwashed by what a film should be. An art should be, rather than to really understand what the artist has to contribute, and what she's trying to say. I've seen the work. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a really great piece of art. Yeah, but we are just not. So this mindset of misunderstanding of what art can be is not just Singapore. It's international. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So if we see it that way, then we understand that that's what human are adapt to or what they're used to. But does that stop us from doing what we do? No, we don't. We keep sculpting. We keep trying. We contribute a little bit. For my side, I can contribute as much as I can for Singapore. And then everyone adds up. If we have like 20 artists from one time, it can create really interesting work. Like right now, I've seen work from Heman. Heman is fantastic artist. Heman Chong. Yeah, I mean he's been doing the walking. I've been doing a lot of walking myself, but I didn't carry a video. But he has been doing a lot of the recent walking, which I think is totally fascinating. Yeah. And then walking towards the Changi Airport or to Power Parade. Yeah. Seeing all these things. Yeah. I think that is fascinating. Or artists like Lavender Chan. I mean, she's been taking buses. Yeah. And then her trip of buses, the exposure of following a stranger. I think that is totally fascinating as well. Yeah.
It really is.
You see, everyone create a little bit of something, and it adds up to where we are now at this time. So if we say that artists are non-essential, I think it's non-essential when you do not want to think out of the box.
Yes.
If you want to be successful in business, in anything, if you want to think out of the box, you need artists to actually challenge you, think out of the box. Yeah. And artists, obviously, not just visual artists. I mean, I include dance, theater, film, video, everything. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's so insightful. I guess like since we are speaking a little bit about art, we can think about how the art industry as a whole has kind of like, we've seen like a huge shift to this online platform, and everything is now being digitalized. Like I know a lot of these festivals have like spent the past few months adapting it to like a website and things like that. So you're a media artist, I'm sure you're familiar with, these online virtual spaces as well.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a trend that will endure, or do you think it's a good alternative?
It will not be a trend that will endure, because if you let digital do it the way it's supposed to be done, like in, say, for example, Instagram and any social media or even Zoom right now.
Yeah. Yes.
The understanding of arts and the understanding of what artist does will be even worse. because human has this idea of like, we have very short attention span.
Yes.
So we go Instagram, we see something, we read quickly, we like, or you write a quick note, that's about it. It's more like a pat on the shoulder, right? Okay, I'll consider online, or I'll consider online digital media or this presentation to opening nights of an art show. See, when you go to an opening night of an art show, you do not really see art. You see friends and old friends, and you congratulate each other, and then after that you walk out of the show and you look at each other. Oh, what happened just now? And then of course you have people who really want to know more about the work. They come back alone on the next day or the next week, and then one-to-one, between themselves and the work itself in front of them. Yeah, and they create a certain kind of dialogue internally. And then to me, I think that become a very satisfying kind of process. And that process will be lost through the digital media, because you can see the work unless you really can sit in front of a computer and look at it and say, oh, okay, I'm seeing something. But we just don't do that,
Yeah,
we serve. We need to see movement. We need to see action. We are all brainwashed by Hollywood and by all the new internet stuff now. So
yeah, for sure.
It's hard. It's hard to do that. But I think the one that suffers most, if we continue to do that, is the museum, because museum try to create work now. It's very in trend in Singapore now, I guess, or everywhere else, to have work that's more immersive.
Yeah.
So that people can go there and experience it, and but that's not the kind of work that I like anyway. So maybe going digital in a way, it helps to bring out work I like painting. I like work I'm very old school in thinking. I like work that's very singular.
Yes.
That make you challenge yourself to actually look at the work and then start thinking, what is this all about? Make a big guess, or try to understand the story behind it, the narrative behind it, if there's any, Yeah. And this is what I like, rather than going to an immersive space and try to, it suddenly become like amusement park.
Yes, it's like, I guess like now in Singapore, there's also this trend of like making it a very physical thrill rather than an emotive dialogue. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are already quite, I guess there's a culture now that we want to engage in something. So that's why VR has a place to stay.
Yes.
Yeah, virtual reality. So I'm not against digital. I mean, if that's the way to go for it, then it will be. Then I'll still do my work and try to show in the space where I can which I think is easier for my audience to actually engage with the work itself. Yeah, but online is not for me though.
Okay, so does that mean you don't really consider like exhibiting your work online if you were, invited to be a part of an online exhibition?
I will join just because to support the gallery or to, but personally, I will not. If I do something for Instagram, which my current project, my new secret current project that I'm working on right now will be shown in online, but will not be shown in a way that people know that it's done by me.
Okay.
Yeah, because the identity of who created the work is not important.
Right.
There's so much emphasis of who are the artists of the work itself.
Yeah.
And that's beside the point, Yeah. So my new body of work has to go with nameless, and it's try to portray that. And then Instagram is pretty good at that because, online media is good at that because people always hide behind the wall and behind the screen and do something.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is what I'm doing because, but this project require me to travel to different places. And that's why now it's kind of like interrupted because no one can travel now. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, thank you so much, Sean. I guess like I'm interested in how you see your past works being now that we are going through this very interesting and like isolating experience, do you and I guess your past work has also dealt a lot with this like sense of isolation and this sense of estrangement with different places. So do you see them with a new lens? I guess could you just share a bit more about the works that you have thought about more during this process of like quarantine?
Okay, so the last few works that I've been doing, I'm very fascinated to work with strangers and people that I do not know or I'm curious with, and I'm less for the idea of trying to be the one trying to create the image itself or to create the artwork itself. Yeah, I want people to actually be involved with more weight, even though they have no experience as an artist. So, for example, I have one work that I call Boon Hock 2014. And that one, I get this guy called Boon Hock to actually send me a selfie of himself and the environment immediately in front of him. So it'll be one photograph of himself and one photograph in front of what he's seeing. To send me just one set of 2 photos every day for the whole entire 2014. And then from there, I actually recreate and edit the work into a calendar from January to December. And that kind of show how his life is like in 2014. Yeah, I mean, it will be really interesting when we reach the year 2204.
Yes.
When somebody look at the work itself and see this guy, what he's going through in that whole entire year. Yeah. And become really fascinating on every singular day. Yeah, so the idea of somebody doing the work and I just edit it is quite interesting for me, and then it makes life easier for me somehow. So right now I'm actually working with someone from Argentina with the same process as well. Like using Skype, we talk, we dialogue, and then having her to make some images, video clips according to what she interprets what I'm trying to say.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from there I'll tell her, is this something that I like or something I don't, and keep pushing to form something.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I was wondering how you selected these strangers, and is it by complete chance or do you kind of know them a little bit?
For example, Boon Hock, I knew him through the army day. So he's totally out of the art circle.
Wow.
I chose him because he has no experience of what the art world is about. I mean, he works in as a cargo logistic guy. So he in charge of all the shippings and all the warehouse, all the shipping of cargo. So to him, the art world is totally, but I'm curious about an everyday man like him, what his life is about. And that's important. I'm not interested in, for example, like the life of another artist, because it's not interesting because but I'm interested in a life of somebody who's trying to create a living and trying to do something, to make themselves distinctively different from others. So when I found this girl, I mean, I found her through by chance through production. And I find her really fascinating. She's really young. And Anchitina has gone through quite a sad economics and politics toll.
Yeah.
And her being that young, and she has a lot of dream, but is limited by what she can do because of her country's situation. Comparatively, in Singapore, we are much more stable. Yeah. So that, I was just thinking, somebody that interesting, somebody who has the ambition to do something good, but being trapped in a place where her ambition can be limited, restricted. Yeah, but yet she's still trying it. So that made me curious about her, and asked her to join these projects, and slowly asking her to be just the subject itself, the portrait sitter, and then slowly become the one who's holding the camera.
Wow.
And then become the one who's doing the writing. So it's trying to let her try different kind of role in an art production. Yeah, let her experience. And that actually changed everything for her, because then this quarantine actually become really interesting for her, because she's doing something that is never been done before, and I promised her that this will be something to be great, and then we'll show it, we'll exhibit it, and then you have a try of what the artwork can be and what the art production can be in the end. And through that, I think that is fascinating, because then I get to know somebody that I do not know, and see her work and see her thinking, her feeling. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. And I guess for you also as an artist to be able to receive these material from such unfamiliar places and to interpret it on your own, it must be very interesting.
Yes, especially I don't even know the language. So she speaks the language, and I would ask, what exactly have you said? To translate for me and things like that. So it's a lot of work there, but the idea is interesting. I'm just looking at all the body language that she sent me, all the video clips and photograph, and I try to guess what is it all about. Yeah, and then try to piece them together. And then next year, when the world opens up, me, myself, and my team will go there and continue the part 2, and then try to join everything together. Yeah, it'll be a very interesting way of creating work. I try to involve as much as possible the sitters, the subjects, to be a part of it. Yeah.
It's true. And like creating the work now, like in this manner, it really slows down the pace of just like what you are trying to, like learn about and talk about as well. That's so cool. But yeah, I guess, that's a good segue into the next question, which is about, now that the borders are closed and art has become very increasingly localized. Like we see a lot of artists being confined to their home areas, and like there's a lack of travel. And it seems like you're adapting pretty well to these like cross-cultural sharing of art and experiences. How do you think this is something that can be sustained in a time where borders are just shut? Yeah.
You see, one important thing that we have to know is that this current border thing is temporary. Yeah.
Yes.
So we know, let's not make it like a permanent thing. But then again, borders are not something. It's just a physical barrier. Yeah. See, the thing is that President Trump can build whatever he want to build in front of Mexico.
Yes.
But that does not stop the imagination of the people who wants a living in the state, and they'll find their way here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, what is a real barrier rather than a physical barrier is the lack of curiosity. See, as a human, if we are no longer curious about what's on the other part of the land, if you're no longer curious about the other culture, you can have an open border and you'll be useless.
Yeah.
Because if you're only busy by what's surround you, your work, your family life, and or you spend a lot of time watching Korean drama, which I'm okay. I mean, I still watch them as well. Yeah, but then that's the only culture that Korean, through the Korean drama.
Yeah.
Then if you want to restrict yourself purely just by that alone, it's fine. Then you will be an expert in Korean culture then. Yeah. But if you want to know more about other places, or want to know more about human from different places, no physical barrier is going to stop you from trying to understand them. Because if you're curious, you do your homework, you find somebody online, somebody from that place, somebody from, and then you try to know. For example, now, I think during this quarantine time, a lot of people are playing game, online game, be a war game or some strategic game, and they are playing with people from different countries. You talk to them, they all have different accents, and then you try to have dialogue with them, knowing where they are from and things like that. They could be from India, they could be from Philippines, they could be from Europe.
Yes.
And they come from all sorts of ages. These are the people that you want to connect, to understand what they're interested in, what they're seeing. So no barrier is going to stop that, because game, arts is going to fuse everything together, And okay, one thing I try to do, I've been doing a lot of, not a lot, but I'm working on the third and the fourth film.
Yes.
I do not see film as I don't see myself as a filmmaker to begin with. I see myself as an artist, but the film is just the presentation of my images that is moving. One frame, 1 second, 24 frames.
Yeah.
So there's about 24 frames of images there. And why in that form? Because I find it's one way to actually extend to a bigger audience. Of course, you can't compare it to a narrative film. You have a wider audience because but compared to Gary's space, the audience is also much bigger as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so you may show the work to maybe, in the festival, you could show it to maybe 1,000 people. And then maybe only 100 people react to the work itself because they're really into it. And that 100 people, you start them thinking, and it transforms into a new way of how should I say, not influence, but a kind of connection between these people. Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
So I think that's interesting for me.
Cool. Okay. I was actually also really interested in this like shift to film as like your new medium. Is there something you see in film that an image cannot do, besides the audience that you can reach?
Well, the film itself to me is like a big portrait.
Okay.
So if I do a portrait of you, it's just one shot, it could be 160 seconds or 125 is really fast. But if I do a film about you, we are talking about a duration of time, in the form of a portrait. It's like a portrait of you in a long duration of time. It's a long exposure. Yeah. Yeah. So that to me is very interesting, because I will not be restricted by the end result itself, the end presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. So in my film itself, there could be a still photograph, there could be a performance, there could be something that is done by you, something that's done by me. But the key idea is do not restrict. I want to create film, or I want to create artwork that someone, say like an 18 years old who just experienced it, look at it and say, I can do that. Which I can do that, not in the sense of like I can do that because it's so easy to do.
Yeah, but
I can do that, but it's like you keep the urge to do something similar. But in your own way. Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's the display of technicalities and the display of crafting, or aesthetic, to me, they're meaningless, because they do not connect. Yeah, I'd rather have a work to be out there, so there's somebody who see it, an artist who see it, and say, I can do something along that line, in this form. Yeah, it do not need lots of support from everyone to create something. You can create anything from nothing. So if you need somebody in front of a lens, you need somebody, all you have to do is to ask.
Yes,
and it's free.
Yes.
If you do not have a studio space, come on, the whole world, the whole city where you're living in is your studio space. You walk out there, you can create any stage you want, but of course in Singapore, if you do, I think more than 10 people gathering, it's illegal, right? Yeah, you can restrict to 8 people,
Yeah.
And do something. Yeah. I think that kind of mentality is very, very important. We should not be restricting ourselves. I think that everything has to be formed in a certain kind of parameter. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I think film kind of free me up in that extent. Yeah. But then at the same time, it's extremely difficult as well, because you can't get funding, because you go to the film funding in Singapore. They say, well, your film is very elusive. So it's not narrative, so they can't fund you. You know, you go to NAC, but it's a film. It's not a, you know, different. So they don't really fund you too. Yeah. It is an art, but they just don't see it in that form. You know.
I guess they still have a very compartmentalized view of like different artworks.
Yeah. So then to do a film is expensive. It's really really difficult. Yeah, but must it be expensive? That's the question.
That's true.
Yeah. So everyone has this idea that, you know, you do a film, it should look like something that is from Euro indie or from Hollywood, you know, the kind of standard. Yeah, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. A film, all you need is just to be very intimate, very immediate. That's all you need to do. To connect. The idea is to connect. Like any arts, it's just to connect anyway. Yeah.
Wow. That is really true, yeah. That's really interesting, John. I really love the way you talk about film, because, you know, there's just so much to that medium that you can like reach. And like the thing you said about you know, how when you reach 100 people and it changes the way they look at the world, and that is how you're gonna be seeding this curiosity in each of them, and it's really nice. I guess like just a question to wrap up. I've also heard a lot about how this quarantine has really challenged Singaporeans to think about what matters more to them, privacy or safety, because of these new things and regulations that are going around, including this like band that is now compulsory for everyone to wear that tracks your every location to help for contact tracing. And I mean, being in New York, like there's a different kind of freedom that you have. You have a freedom to walk around and like to say whatever you want, but I guess that comes also at a level of comes at the cost of safety. So how do you navigate this dichotomy, since you live in both areas?
Well, I read about it, but from my understanding, when my first reaction of when I hear about the thing, I was like, what rubbish is that? You know, it's like, I mean, it is something that you have to bring around, and then you choose not to bring around, then it become illegal.
Yes.
And then you restrict where the privacy of what you want to do in your day. Then later on, I understand that the new thing that they are trying to do in Singapore is that they don't really pinpoint where you are exactly, in the sense. Yeah, so they still have this urge of trying to protect your own privacy. Which I'm for it, just because for the health purpose. In New York itself, from my understanding, is that the contact tracer, they do not pinpoint to where you go, but they just ask you, you know, based on where you've been on the day itself, and then after that they'll inform the person or the business entity, that they have been exposed without telling them who exposed to them. So they try to protect it, because New York is a place. It's all about, you know, privacy of all places. So if one day we lose that here, I can imagine because to me New York is not America to begin with, because New York is formed by different culture. You have people from Europe, all part of Europe, all part of Asia, all part of South America and Canada. So it's a melting pot.
It is.
So everyone, so you have to actually create something that works. So to me, privacy is number one. If we do not resolve that, it's just my personal opinion. So but virus is not as deadly compared to the loss of privacy.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, John, for your time. Really, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I think I learned a lot about, you know, how art is supposed to be communicated, and like how it can be so easily misunderstood in times like this. So thank you so much for allowing us to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank you, John. Take care, please, and yes, all the best in your future work. I'm really excited to see the Instagram one.
But you won't know unless I tell you.
I actually wouldn't know.
One day you know.
Thank you, John. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.